All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here this evening for our Soulrender to Bloom Circle. My name is Mariah Raven. My given name is Shiowala Wishu, which means singing wolf. I come this evening on behalf of my ancestors, the paternal being the Lenape and Mohawk Native nations, whose land I am lucky enough to actually live upon to connect with in that way. And I come on behalf of my maternal ancestors, the Polish and Slavic, who fled here as immigrants 5 generations ago, and I'm weaving that in as well. I am a mom, a mental health crisis and suicide prevention advocate, a interspiritual shamanic healer, holistic womb wellness advocate, and your divine guide for this evening as we lean into the medicine of circle together. So before we go any further, I want to just go into the pillars of integrity that I go over every circle. And those pillars of integrity are confidentiality. So anything that is shared in this space does not leave this space. And anything shared in the space will be edited out for the recording. This just kind of lets you guys know this is a safe space and that you can share. And we are going to go through some heavier things tonight. So I just want you to give yourself permission to fully share because it's not going to leave this space. The second pillar of integrity is active listening. So when someone is listening or sharing, that we are listening, like it's very natural for us to want to like share experiences where we've been, where they've been, but sometimes we can get lost in like what we want to say and how we're going to share it to them. So it's okay to want to do that, but like at least just in the moment, giving them that connection, letting them know that they feel seen. And then when it's your time to speak, or even if you've gone and like after they're finished, you want to share something, go right ahead. This just lets them know that we see all of you and hear all of you. And the last is just conscious speaking from the heart, letting that go. I think that explains itself in the first 2 pillars, but I like to just put that in there. There's no box you need to fit in here. This is not an all love and light space. All of you is welcome here. And with that, I invite you, if it feels safe, to please close your eyes. Place your hands on your heart. Allow us to take 3 deep breaths together to connect and drop into this space. Inhale. Hold. And exhale. Again, you might hear some tiny humans in the background. Inhale. Hold. And exhale. Last one together. Inhale. Hold. And exhale. I'll now open our circle with a prayer. In this moment, I welcome in the presence of the divine. God, Goddess, Creator, Source, Spirit, whatever feels right for you. Please be with us in this space. Please support us in truly serving and in giving from the heart and from the depths of transformation that are most meant to flow through us for the highest good of all beings, including and especially all beings in this call or watching the replay. We invite in and call upon our wise and well ancestors, known and unknown, We call upon the wise women in our lineage. We call upon the mystics, the healers, the medicine women, the teachers, the spiritual leaders, the midwives, grandmothers, hearth keepers, the fire tenders, the weavers, the warriors whose innate role was to protect the feminine, and all other wise and well ancestors in our lineage who choose to show up. We welcome you to our circle. We welcome in our guides, ascended masters, angels and archangels, gods and goddesses of our hearts. Please guide our words and these teachings here tonight. May they be in alignment with Source. We give thanks to the ancestral homelands of those we live upon and those our ancestors come from. We give thanks to all the two-legged, four-legged, finned, furred, insect, the stone people, the plant people, the winged ones, and all other holy beings of this natural world. Greetings to each and every one of you at this time, and also greetings to each and every one of our benevolent, elevated ancestors, our guides and allies that guided us here tonight. Thank you to the cosmological teachings and principles of the divine ones, all the cosmic principles coming into form. Thank you. Thank you to all who have been carrying these traditions forward, the mystery teachings in a good way, so that they may come forward in this time on behalf of assisting this time of great transition. May everything shared here tonight in this space be helpful, be practical, be beneficial to each and every one of our hearts, our bodies, our minds, our spirits. And in that way, may it be an offering into the web of life on behalf of the liberation of all beings, human and non-human, tending and healing to anything that needs healing at this time, to make good offerings in this present moment, to create more beauty for infinite generations to come. So mote it be, Awen, Aho, and so it is. The circle is now open. So before we drop into tonight's theme, I pulled a card for us. And also feel free to use the chat if you would like to use the chat, if you want to share anything. That's also here for us. I felt guided to pull from the Work Your Light Oracle card deck. I actually haven't pulled this one out in a minute, but it kind of was singing to me, so I went with it. And the card that we got was You're Already Doing It. Stop overthinking, keep facing your true north. And I'll drop pictures of everything tonight, the playlist, everything tonight in the event group, in the chat, all of that. So you guys will all have that as well. I did add, there are more songs on the playlist than you're going to hear tonight. Spirit kind of guided me through adding certain songs so that you could listen at your own leisure and kind of go through a similar journey, like extend this circle out, if you will. So it says, you're already doing it. Do not question things so much. You are on the right track. You are facing the right way. Stop overthinking it. It's happening and you are closer than you think. You are exactly where you need to be and things are moving at the perfect speed. Do not rush it. Now is not the time to be impatient. Now is the time to walk steady. There is no rush. What you are building is being built. What you have planted soon will blossom. With every new day, a new brick is being laid. You have come a long way. The foundations are steady. Now all that is needed is for you to trust and keep walking forward. If a thought that things should be moving faster enters your head, that is just your ego comparing your rising to someone else's. Comparison is not your friend. Just stay in your lane. I don't know if you guys know that song. I'm stay in my lane. It's a really good song. If you don't know it, I might add it to the playlist because it's in here. But stay in your lane and water your own garden, knowing that your time to bloom will soon come. I thought that was beautiful because that's kind of the energy of what Soulrender feels like to me. Just giving that, surrendering to the trust of knowing that all of the work is going to come to fruition, that you've laid down what you need to lay down, and now you just have that trust. And it's not easy to have that trust. So that was our card. So tonight we are gathering to talk more about the heavier things that we feel as feminine beings in this lifetime. And our ancestors, I'm sure, felt as well, but we are in a better space and having more connections and more resources to be able to bring awareness to it, healing to it, all the things. So the biggest topic tonight is really soul rendering, right? So I wanted to first bring to light, first of all, the history of circle, why we're here tonight. Women have always gathered in circle. They've always done, not always, excuse me. They've always gathered in circle, but there was a time where that was broken off, and we can look to many different examples to this. We can look at the burning times. We can look at the colonization of the world, not one specific area, but all over, at one point in time, humanity was a very matrilineal, animist kind of society. They revered the feminine. They lived in right relation, and women were at the center, and women raised their kids together. They taught together. They would bleed together. there were female warriors, and they would go off and fight together. It's beautiful. And then we came to a certain time where our voices were taken and we were separated. And in this separation, there was also a lot of other things kind of laid into the groundwork. There was a lot of comparison. There was a lot of, this is what you need to look like and how you need to behave. And, you don't really have an equal say to your husband. So you just need to stay in your lane in the wrong kind of way. And this created a wound within the feminine collective of, we lost the sight of our power, of our voice, because we were told we couldn't vote, we didn't have a say, we had to, and it creates all of this anger. We know what that feels like, to be silenced or to be dismissed, to be overlooked. And then we have, the women who are in this mother role oftentimes that has to give these sacrifices, right? Sacrifices for the family, sacrifice for what society deems right. And then that's being passed on to the daughters. And we see this generation after generation picking up that broken baton. And here we are now to fix it. Because now the feminine is rising and it's coming together and it's empowering itself. And the rewilding movement on its own that I've been seeing the feminine taking is incredible. It's incredible. I'm all for that, like, fierce, wild woman, Kali Ma energy. That's right in my lane. And that's kind of where I'm guiding to now, is with all of these things that the women who came before us were put through. We feel that. We feel it from our lineage, and we feel it in the collective. And there were women female influencers that I used to really like to follow. They're kind of like bigger names. I'm not gonna, but I was really into them for a while, and I really resonated with their content. And then it started to get more about like dating and the single life and kind of more like love and light and fluff kind of stuff, which is, I'm happy for her because she went through to get there. But that is not me, and that's never felt like me. I've always been I've always felt different than the other girls in my grades and everywhere else, because I like listen to rock music, and I didn't like to go shopping and all these things that they like to do. I was rough around the edges, very rough around the edges, and for the longest time I thought there was something wrong with me because of that, and now I'm realizing that that's my magic. So there's a reason that these heavier things tend to show up for us in more of a way that we can't that we that shows up for us in a way that we can't just easily get over. Like it's harder for us, and they keep showing up. It's like, why does this keep cycling around? Why does this keep showing up for me? And while from a shamanic perspective, that can be helped with soul retrievals and things like that, but sometimes it feels different than that. And I've come to learn that difference, those of us who know that deeper like rage, that the darker side of the feminine healing, it's different than just getting mad or being angry. It's like a holy fire. And so that's kind of where, and I feel Kali had something to do with this. I'm starting to like learn that I channel, but it's like very new. So she kind of guided me to like the phrase sacred rage. And so like I like to search on Instagram and stuff before I go to like Google for things, because I like to see what other people have to say. And they're like personal one-on-ones, I guess. And so I looked up sacred rage, and like Kali showed up and all these things, and it was like this rabbit hole I went down. So sacred rage, shame, guilt, these things tend to get more of a bad rep because because how we've been raised, like these are bad emotions and these are good emotions. And I feel like it needs to be talked about more, that all emotions are important, that they're all equal and they're all important. And I feel like if you don't experience the sadness, the sorrow, the more heavier on the heart kind of feelings, how are you going to really enjoy when the good ones, see, there it goes, the stigma language. How are we going to notice when the higher things come around? If we had good all the time, good feel, or if we had positive feelings, higher feelings all the time, then eventually it would come to this place where that's just what it always is, and then it's your normal, and then it's not so fun, So we have to have all sides of the spectrum. And so it was proven by a Harvard student that the human brain only holds on to an emotion for 90 seconds. And that anything past that is us, which is human. It's literally how we work. And part of how our brain works too is, even if we think something, even if it's not actually true, we'll think the thing, and then we'll try to find all the evidence in the world to back up why the thing is true. And that's a whole thing in itself. And so being aware, because awareness on its own, as soon as you're aware of something, I feel like healing begins to happen on like a subconscious level. We're aware of it now, we're looking at it. So being aware that the human brain only holds on to an emotion for 90 seconds, when we can catch that rage when it comes up, there's a sweet spot. And this is specifically for rage, sacred rage. There's that sweet spot between when we're triggered and when we react to the trigger. And if we can catch ourselves in that space and kind of, time stops. We're in this space right now. I'm looking at you. Okay, I'm angry. I am angry. Hello, what do you have to say to me? Because what I've come to learn in my own experience is that she tends to show herself when boundaries have been crossed, when we've been disrespected, and not in an egoic way. Like, we've really been disrespected. Because if you're anything like me, you're a giver. You kind of tend to put yourself last, not intentionally, but so it's not in your nature to, immediately just nope. So it's harder for us to set up those boundaries, especially with people that we love, or if we've been a person who hasn't had strong boundaries and we've just begun to implement them. That's when you're really going to feel a lot of tension, because people who are used to you not having those boundaries are going to be like, whoa, wait a minute. And so in moments like that, when we know we're setting up these boundaries for our best good, and we're receiving this pushback, especially for the first time, when it's new for us, it's going to feel really activating. It's going to feel really like intense. But instead of feeding into it and like immediately reacting to the person or the situation, if we can sit in that space and be like, oh, okay, all right, okay, I'm pissed, okay, and just like sit with it, feel into it, and one way or another, you're going to hear what she has to tell you, whether it's like a feeling or a visualization or a thought or something, but you will get that message. And just breathe into it. And I also learned last year, which this was really mind-blowing, is that sacred rage has the same life force, energy for change. So if we're actually able to be in that space where we can listen to what our anger, what that sacred rage is telling us, where do you need to fortify your boundaries, or where should you take up space, in doing that, we're first of all shedding the guilt of feeling that, because it's okay to be angry, especially when you've been wronged. But in doing this work for yourself, you're then going to be able to notice when she comes up, what does she have to say? When she comes up, what does she have to say? And oftentimes there is going to be some sort of change that needs to happen, whether it's personal within yourself, or whether it's in a relationship dynamic, but you just got to listen and know that it's okay when these feelings come up, because they come up for a reason. They're teachers. And oftentimes too, in our ancestry, in our lineage, if the women before us didn't get a chance to heal their own, or to even look at their own, maybe it was everything they could do just to survive. So they couldn't take the time to lean into these healing modalities. And so it's more intense for us, but that's okay. There's a reason why it is. So I wanted to read, I like to read things. I wanted to read an excerpt by Ram Dass called Polishing Away the Anger. It says, once I found myself becoming very angry while at Maharaji's temple. Maharaji is his guru. It says, most of the anger was directed against my fellow Western devotees. Although there were perhaps some justifiable reasons for the anger, the fever pitch to which I had risen at the end of 2 weeks was surprising, even to me. It was at that point that I walked into the temple and arrived late. All the Westerners were sitting in the usual row on the porch at the opposite side of the courtyard where Maharaji was sitting. From here, they could watch him from a distance while they were also taking lunch. When I arrived and sat down, one of the Westerners brought over a leaf plate of food that had been saved for me. And at that moment, the fury broke, and I took the leaf plate and threw it. From across the courtyard, Maharaji watched. Almost immediately, I was summoned to his presence, and I crossed the yard and knelt before him. Something troubling you? He asked. Yes, I said, looking over to all the Westerners. I can't stand adharma, those whose behaviors which people manifest that take them away from God. He said, I can't stand it, and I can't stand it in me. In fact, I can't stand anybody at all except you. And as I looked at him, it felt that he was my only safe harbor in this darkness of my soul. And I began to cry. No, not just cry, but to wail. Maharaji patted me vigorously on the head and sent for milk. And when I could see through my tears, I saw that he was crying too. He fed me the milk and asked me if I loved him. I assured him that I did. Then, when I composed myself sufficiently, he leaned up close and said, I told you to love everybody. Yes, Maharaji, but you also told me to tell the truth, and the truth is that I don't love everybody. And then Maharaji came even closer so that we were practically nose to nose. And he said, love everyone and tell the truth. And the way he said it left no doubt about the way it was to be. For a fleeting moment, I had an image of a casket, apparently symbolic of my death, but it was shaped in a way that was unlike my body. It seemed representational of his conversation, in which, in effect, I was protesting that who I thought I was could not love everyone and tell the truth. And Maharaji was saying, when you finish being who you think you are, this is who you will be. When you die, you will be reborn to love everyone and tell the truth. Then he said, sometimes the most anger reflects the strongest love. Looking across the yard at those Westerners, toward all of whom I self-righteously felt anger, I suddenly felt the anger was at one level, while immediately beneath that, at a slightly deeper level, was incredible love. Two planes of relationship in a person might say, I love you, but I don't like you. And if Maharaji's instructions were to be carried out, and there was no doubt that they were, for he was my guru for better or worse, the anger would have to be given up to make way for the love. So I wanted to read that just as a little reminder of how sometimes it's really easy to be blinded by anger. I have found myself getting caught up between the balance of righteous or justified anger, and we have to kind of give ourselves grace and that discernment. Is this sacred rage, or is this something that I'm attached to at a human level? Is this something that is triggering to my ego? Is my ego attached to this? Is this why I'm angry? Using that discernment, because sacred rage can teach us so much. But if we don't use that discernment and we lean into rage that's really coming from the ego, it's so easy to not only disconnect ourselves from those around us, but it's so easy to also disconnect ourselves from ourselves. Am I angry for a reason, or at this point, is it just my ego? And so I kind of loved that, because if you can, I feel like, love is kind of where everything starts. Like, even if we don't love ourselves fully, there's a tiny smidgen of it in there somewhere to begin the spiritual healing journey, to begin taking your healing into your own hands, and to begin looking at yourself in that way. There's a little bit of self-love in there, even if we don't see it. And so now I wanted to read a short poem to you guys, then I have journal prompts. So the poem is called On Joy and Sorrow, because I don't want to just touch on the rage, because sorrow is often one that comes into that dance. So, on joy and sorrow. A woman said, "Speak to us of joy and sorrow." And the man answered, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked. The self same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. It's not the cup that holds your wine, the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven, and is not the lute that soothes your spirit, the very wood that was hollowed with knives. When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has been given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again into your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily you are suspended like the scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at the standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must your joy and your sorrow rise or fall. I have 2 journal prompts for you. And then I have a guided meditation for us. And that's going to, after the guided meditation, we'll close us out. Okay. So I'm going to put on some music while we journal prompt. I'm also going to paste in the chat the journal prompts, so that way you can look back at them. Let's see, copy and paste. Okay, so music. All right, sorry guys, I have our playlist on and it's on shuffle. I want to put the journal prompt music on. Okay, so our first journal prompt is, in what ways does sacred rage, sorrow, sadness, or shame, any of those, in what ways do these show up for me? I'm going to post this in the chat. In what ways does sacred rage, sorrow, sadness, shame show up for me? going to give you a few more minutes or a few more moments. Okay. Now going to our second journal prompt is, what wisdom is this trying to nourish me with? What wisdom is this trying to nourish me with? All right, give it a few more moments. Okay. All right. So before we step into our meditation, the meditation I have for us is to lean into the inner sun being within us, to kind of connect into that light, and to of course do that in this circle, but also to show you what you can do anytime, and especially when you feel like it's dark around you, that you can tap into that inner sun being, that inner sun within you anytime. How powerful we really are. So, before I lean into that, I wanted to share really quickly the story of Parvati and Shiva. Many of us tend to suppress our highest potential, often because of past hurts or, just trying to protect ourselves. And the process of retreat is mimicked here by Shiva when he lost his great love. And in his grief, Shiva sat in meditation for thousands of years in his grief, lost in his grief, but not taking part of his duties of dissolution and destruction. And so one day, the god of creation, Brahma, looked around and saw that nature had lost its luster, that the world was stagnant, and without Shiva bringing everything to a state of dissolution, Brahma could not create. Ideas could not be born, creativity and imagination were blocked. Brahma went to the great feminine force, Shakti, for help. Shakti told Brahma that she could be born into human female form to bring Shiva back into this world. I love that. So to bring Shiva back into this world. So the ebb and flow through waves of emotion is human. Although at times we sink, we are often able to return to stable ground. Sometimes we go so deep that we get lost in our own darkness, absorbed and hiding in meditation. Shiva represents the times that we can become impotent due to depression or fear or exhaustion. We can become idle. Creativity and imagination don't flow, and there is no luster. It feels like there's no luster and shine in our lives because we're not in that energy of allowing ourselves to transform, to take the risks, to open up our hearts and feel, which is scary, So Shakti was reborn as Parvati. And her whole life, Parvati had a special love in her heart for Shiva. As a young girl, she sat in the meadow, fluttering her eyes at him, placing flowers at his feet, cooing his name, and dreaming about the day he would open his eyes, taking her into his arms and embracing her with his love. Yet this never happened. All of this daydreaming was not doing anything but frustrating her. So Parvati decided to act. She went to the god of love and asked him to shoot an arrow into Shiva's heart to arouse him. And she was absolutely sure that this would work. And Kama, down for love, shot an arrow into Shiva's heart and woke him up out of his meditation. However, when Shiva opened his eyes, feeling this, he became enraged because he was brought out of his meditation. He was awoken. And so with a roar, he opened his third eye and fire shot out and incinerated Kama. Shiva closed all three of his eyes and retreated inward. Parvati was completely distraught by this and that her plan had failed, and she sat to think about what she was going to do next. Now, fear often arrives cloaked as distraction or procrastination or dissuasion. These are all fairly common things that we come into face with when fear is kind of driving the seat or driving the wheel, taking the wheel. When you have to snack, avoid friends, update your social media status, or hide in the dark, we feed fear. The best way to tackle fear is through action. How many times have you begun a project or a paper or a dream only to run head on into a speed bump and just give up? Or showed your true self to someone only later to feel embarrassed at your vulnerability? This is often the place where people give up, put down their dreams, and retreat back into their comfort zone. Yet this is also where the powers of inner strength begin to rise and the process of disillusion starts. This is where layers of baggage begin to burn away, limiting thoughts diminish, and fear lessens. Pavarti begins to meditate. She begins to meditate for thousands of years. She stands on one leg in hot coals. And then for 1,000 years, she stands on the other leg in cold snow. During these meditations, she builds tapas, which is inner heat. And her own power grows so strong that Shiva, deep in his meditation, feels her presence and awakens from his slumber, from his meditation. Shiva and Pavarti marry, and between their lovemaking, they discuss yoga. Pavarti doesn't gain Shiva's attention because she's beautiful. She gains his attention because her inner light was so brilliant. Pavarti, unable to rely on wishing and hoping, has to go on an inner journey. And each of us has an inner journey to go on. Along the way, we will fall down, we will tip over, we will get twisted, but we will arrive wiser and exactly when we're supposed to. Even if we take one step forward and 2 steps back, that's still for a reason. Everything in its divine timing. So Pavarti represents that part of us that doesn't give up. She shows us that hard work and inner discipline are necessary for growth. Whenever we desire something that makes us feel alive, we must travel to our heart center to find it. We look at people who seem to be living our dreams or wish for their attention or their money or their love or their luck or their life or whatever it is. This story shows us we can manifest our own desires into reality, but we have to be willing to do the work, to let go of expectations and to get in the dirt. Pavarti did not raise her vibrations by placing flowers at Shiva's feet, but rather by standing on her own. Connect to this dazzling brilliance that you have within. Believe in your own inner power, your own inner strength, and continue to develop that inner power. And you'll experience how everything can unfold right in front of you. Remember that everything that is happening for us, not to us. As hard as that is sometimes. That's when we listen. We tap into that sacred observer within. Okay. Now I invite you to close your eyes if it feels safe for you, and to put your hands on your heart. I'm going to guide you through a meditation to embody your inner sun being. A sun being is someone who is here to embody the sun. Someone meant to shine their radiant light into this world without having to worry about who's going to see it or about it being too bright. Because you know you're here to raise the vibration of this planet. So this meditation is about embodying the sun being way, taking each step filled with light, joy, bliss, and being unapologetically positive about who you are, because you know the world needs your shine and your radiance. Taking a big smile right now and closing your eyes if they're not already closed. With your hands on your chest, feeling your heart pulsing in your body right now. Feeling your aliveness. why you're here, why that heart is pulsing around the clock to keep you alive, so that you can share your gifts with the world. Taking a deep breath in and release it out. Again, a deep breath in slowly. And sigh it out. And now your deepest inhale you've taken all day. Hold at the top. Maybe give a little smile. And release it all out. Repeat after me. I am grateful to be in this lifetime. I am grateful to be in this lifetime. I am so grateful to be in this lifetime. And I want you to feel the energy of your heart blossoming, feeling its solar waves move in every which way, outward, expanding, radiating, becoming brighter, more luminous, stronger. And feeling this light now expand throughout your entire body. Your body emanating with this golden light that is permeating from your heart space. Your heart like the center of the sun with rays shining all outside of you from within. And feeling these rays now surround your body, all around your aura, bright, warm, and golden hues like the sun. Deep breath in. And releasing out any fear of being seen, judged, fear of not being understood. You can release it all now. The sun was not meant to be understood by everyone. It was meant to be seen and to share its light, even to those who don't understand it. And with each breath, feeling these golden rays expand further outside of you, now emanating the entire room, filling this room up with this beautiful golden light coming straight from your heart. Feeling everything in the room come alive now. The plants, everything, all of the objects, the consciousness comes alive when inspired by the magnetism of your heart. Deep breath in and sigh it out. Big smile as the rays expand even further, permeating your entire home or building. Feeling those rays expand and touch every single person, not even aware of them. Giving them warmth, inspiration, nourishment, joy. And feeling those rays blossom, touching people you don't even know. Breathe in deep and sigh it out as these solar rays expand throughout your entire city, bringing energy, radiance, life force, creativity, freedom, bliss to every single person that it touches. And as you breathe, your light becomes even more connected to the sun, to the sky. You are the living embodiment of it. You are here to embody it. You are here to radiate and share your gifts freely, openly, without worrying or second guessing yourself for even a moment, because you are meant to shine. Taking a deep breath in and exhaling out with a smile as these rays now make their way across your state, across your country. Feeling it now inspiring people miles and miles away from you who may never know your name, but they're feeling your radiance, the spark of joy, your magnetism, your creativity. You are impacting their lives simply by being you. That is you embodying the sun being. Deep breath in and sigh it out with your biggest smile now as your light shines across the entire world. And you find your solar rays matching and meeting the other sun beings across the planet. Like those images of the world all lit up at night from across many different countries. Each sun being shines like this, being that lighthouse in the darkness that they are in, being that proof, that existence, that evidence, that transformation is possible, that joy is your birthright, that you are here to live your soul's purpose and that nothing is going to stop you. A deep breath in again. And smile it out as your solar rays merge and meld with each other's, illuminating the entire planet, raising the vibration of Mother Earth, bringing healing, harmony, unity, peace, love, prosperity, joy. You are doing it now simply by remembering who you are, the sun being. And with your heart, hands on your heart, repeat after me. I am a sun being. I am here to embody the radiant sun. I am here to shine my light with the world freely. Joy is my true nature. I was born to share my unique gifts for an important reason. And I will share my soul's purpose with the world. I am a sun being. Deep breath in, connecting to that solar energy radiating from your heart, connecting to the entire earth, and release it with a sigh. Thank you for saying yes to incarnating on this planet at this time. We are all so grateful. And when you feel ready, you can move back into your body, maybe with a little sway, wiggling your fingers or your toes, gently blinking your eyes open. connecting back to your body, connecting back to the sun being way. I have 2 more journal prompts coming out of that meditation. I'm going to give it just a few moments for everyone to stretch and come back into the space. But I wanted to still be able to journal in this juicy space coming out of this meditation, feeling in that energy. So let me grab these next 2 journal prompts, copy and paste. Okay. Oops. Well, I meant to space the 2 of them out. I hit enter too soon. But the first journal prompt is, how can I best soul render to the lessons my soul is trying to teach me? How can I best soul render to the lessons my soul is trying to teach me? I put them in the chat if you need. Give it a few more moments. So our our final journal prompt is, how can I best transmute and alchemize this energy for my highest blooming? So how can we take the lessons, the wisdom that's being shared to us, and apply it to what we're sifting through right now? What can we do to bring healing, but also, really the integration of the wisdom of what it's trying to teach us how can we bring that in for our highest blooming? I'm going to give it a few more moments. Okay. There you go. Okay. So I want to close us out with an embodiment and a prayer. And that's going to end our circle for this evening. So if it feels comfortable for you guys, because I'm going to I'm gonna invite you to hold yourself and maybe if holding yourself doesn't feel comfortable, just being in the space and swaying. I have a song that I want us to listen to. 1 second. Freya, honey. Freya, can you go in the other room? I know, but I'm in my circle. Go in the other room. But I'm going to go through an embodiment practice. So which is really just listening to the music and feeling your way through it. But the song felt perfect to close us out with. It felt right to close us out with. And the song is called Divine Surrendering. So if you feel more comfortable with your camera off to kind of move and feel through the music, go right ahead. I'm going to do the same. Yeah. All right. So here we go. It's okay not to know again. Feeling in the dark, crawling till I walk. Each time that I fall, divine remembering.
Holding on too tight, trying to let my tire from the fight. Divine surrendering. Divine surrendering. Divine surrendering. Divine surrendering. Divine surrendering. Safe to surrender now. Safe to remember how. Safe to surrender now. Safe to remember how. I release what is not meant for me. I believe what's meant for me will be for me. Feeling in the dark, crawling till I walk. Each time that I fall, divine remembering. Holding on too tight, trying to let my tire from the fight. Divine surrendering. Divine surrendering. Divine surrendering. Divine surrendering. Divine surrendering. Time. Oh, take me back home again. Oh, I'm walking alone again. Time.
All right. And when you're ready, come back into the space. I just really felt like we needed to hold ourselves and sway to that song. I'm slowly feeling out and understanding why Spirit gave me the name Singing Wolf. So we gonna have music all the time. Okay. So I have a prayer to close us out. And then I'm going to say goodbye. Those of you here in the live, after I say goodbye, don't hang up unless you have to. But we're going to have an open floor just to share a bit and talk and connect and hold space for each other afterwards. Unless you have to skedaddle, Okay. So if you'll join me in putting your hands on your heart, just going to speak this prayer out. May we be open. May we bloom. May we feel deeply our own ways in this infinite ocean. May we know each other as love. May we move together in love. May we watch old patterns of illness fall away. May we...
It's warm. It's warm.
May we, in accepting what is, see the depths of the jewels of being. How all that is what is, manifest in everything, always. May we give and freely receive. May we love and love freely. May we discard envy and jealousy in favor of reverence and wonder. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole. All of which is to say, may we see ourselves clearly. I want to thank you all for joining me tonight in our circle. And if you take nothing else with you from this circle, take this, that all of your feelings are sacred. All of your feelings are important. And don't let anyone try to guilt you or shame you about the rage and the voice that speaks up when you are being crossed, when you are being disrespected, or when your boundaries aren't being crossed. Ask yourself, what would the goddess do? And that there's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You are perfect, perfectly divine. Okay. With that, thank you all for being here tonight. And I will see you when we have our next circle. Walk in love and keep it sacred. Blessed be.